Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Mike, host of the free iTunes podcast, Psychiatric Secrets Revealed with Dr. Mike. But that's not why I'm here today. This is another Saving Savvy episode, this one focused on photography, and it's more of an editorial. And it involves my own personal struggle with camera purchases. So if you know me, or if you've watched any of my videos, you probably have picked up that I have these two sides to my personality. I am a gadget lover, and I love comparing things. So I have lots of cameras of many different brands, of many different resolutions, and I'm constantly playing around with them and seeing this one does this one a little bit better, this one does that thing a little bit better, and that sort of thing. However, I also know and absolutely and firmly believe that any camera that was mid-range or higher, built from 10 years ago and up, probably is sufficient for the vast majority of photographers. Well, so what happened to me recently? So recently I found out that the Canon RP, their mirrorless camera, their entry-level mirrorless full-frame camera, was now being sold for under $1,000. And I will be honest with you, I felt this instant rush. I wanted to go out and buy it. My whole mind's going like crazy, like ding, 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 full-frame camera, under $1,000, mirrorless Canon. I want it. But luckily, I paused a little bit and thought about the purchase and did some more research on the camera. Now, of course, I came across some glowing reviews from people who basically said that that camera changed their lives. But then I saw other reviews and read reviews and looked at the specs and came to realize that that camera would do no more for me than cameras that I already have, like this 5D Mark IV. In fact, this camera in many ways is actually better. And I have the lenses for this camera, and I have all the accessories for this camera. Why in the world would I want to buy another mirrorless camera when it's not going to enhance my ability to take photographs at all? But that excitement gets built, when you listen to these influencers and you want to do it. Now, a couple things also stopped me from just jumping in and making the purchase. One being the fact that I'm retired. So when I was a working active physician, I had a little extra cash, and if I really wanted to buy something, I could buy it. Well, now I have to kind of watch my pennies, and although I could buy it if I really, really wanted to, I've got to think about these options once, twice, three, four, five, six times before I really pull the trigger on any decision like this, because the pot of money has shrunk considerably. When I paused a little bit longer, I realized that I wouldn't just be buying a camera for $1,000. I'd have to buy lenses that were native to that camera. And I know you can adapt the lenses, but you want the native lenses. And that would add thousands of dollars more to my purchase of something that I didn't need, that didn't enhance my photography skills, that was probably lesser than cameras that I already owned. A couple of other factors played into this. I came across a few videos of people making gigantic prints, either from Micro Four Third cameras or low resolution images. I mean, not low in the sense that they're not the super mega ones, but like 20 megapixels, 24 megapixels. And they were making images that were wall-size images practically. And they looked great when they were viewed from an appropriate distance. And I thought to myself, yeah, I know that. In fact, I know that billboards are frequently only a few megapixels, but you see them from such a distance that they look clear. And I know that a magazine cover like this probably only requires about 6 or maybe 7 megapixels. And I know that a bus stop, big sign that you often will see at bus stops, that's frequently around 50 dpi, printed at around 50 dpi. When we talk about 300 dpi, we're really talking about magazines, like fine art magazines, when you're looking at them closely and examining everything. But other sorts of things don't really need 300 dpi. So you don't need super amounts of megapixels to make those big prints. And most people don't make those big prints anyways. The final thing that kind of did it for me was this magazine, which I saw at the Walgreens when I was buying some postage stamps. So this is Time Magazine Special Edition, 100 Photographs, the Most Influential Images of All Time. I'm going to randomly look at some of these and kind of talk about them for a little bit with you. And who determined this, by the way? Historians, photographers, the team at Time Magazine, and a lot of these pictures like this one here I'm sure you've seen. The ones in the back are pretty iconic. I'm sure you've seen those too. But there's a lot of other pictures in here that you may or may not have seen. And let's critique them a little bit. All right. So here is an image. Okay. The Hague, you can see it over here. It's a low-key image, poor resolution, not very sharp. Let's take a lower image here. Oh, this is horrifying. This fire escape collapse is just horrifying. I don't know. But next to it is also horrifying. That is the Munich massacre. This was during the Olympics. If you can see that there. Terrible, terrible resolution. Not very great dynamic range either. Let's take a look here. Now here we have a professional looking shot that looks pretty good, but next to it is Chairman Mao swimming in the Yangtze, I think, yes, and not very clear, not very good, but you could actually make out it's him. I guess that's good. Here we have two shots. This radiogram on the one side, of course, terrible resolution even for an X-ray. On the right side, you have terrible vignetting. It's pretty faded. And this is, what is this? This is Bandits Roost, 59.5 Mulberry Street, talking about late 19th century New York, magnet for crime. You know, kind of says the message pretty well, but not a very high quality image by any means. What do we have here? What else we can find? Oh, here's the Loch Ness Monster, another famous image. Very poor resolution. Very, very low pixels if we had pixels in those days. This icon picture of Cuban Che Guevara picture, you know, pretty low key, pretty bad shadow on his face, but maybe that was intentional. You know, it's a nice picture, but not outstanding. Oh, here's one. Super low resolution, the first cell phone picture. Here's one. Moonlight on the pond. Ethereal image of a photograph or painting, or is it both? Again, you look at that, it just looks like it's low resolution, kind of blurry photo. Okay, now, when I look at these, hopefully you get the message that I'm not critiquing these world famous pictures thinking that, well, they're not very good. They're excellent pictures. I'm really trying to make a point. The point is that these pictures are so powerful because of what the image was, right? Not because of the amount of megapixels or focusing points or tilt screens or whatever. These images are powerful. I mean, think about the billions of images that are taken every year. And the top 100 are often poorly composed, grainy, low resolution, poor dynamic range. You know, why are they so powerful? Because they tell a story. And so what I would suggest to all of you, the next time you get that urge to buy that camera that you don't need, I mean, if you need a camera, go out and buy a camera, right? If you've got some camera that you hate and you want to get a new one, go do it. But if you're feeling this compulsion that you've got to go out and buy a camera because some influencer has told you this, and you feel that it's going to change your sport shooting game or your portrait game or your event shooting game, I'm telling you, it probably is not going to do that. Or if it is going to do that dramatically, it's because it's giving you something that your skill set doesn't have, but something that you could easily acquire. People took all sorts of sports photography before we had 2 gazillion focusing points. People took beautiful landscape photography before we had a zillion megapixels. People took great portrait photography before we had lenses that went down to f-stop of 0.9. You can do all of that stuff with what you have, or inexpensive equipment or used equipment. Just think about it and really think, instead of saying, I'm just going to buy this stuff, because nowadays buying an expensive camera system is unbelievably expensive. If you just buy a little Rebel kit or something, or a little Nikon D, whatever it is, 3500 or something, you can get by with $400, $500, $600, right? I mean, that's not very expensive. I'm not saying it's cheap, but it's not very expensive. But if you go for a new system, if you want to buy a full frame camera, and let's say the trinity of lenses that a lot of people want to have, plus maybe some prime lenses, I mean, you could easily be talking about $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000. And what are you going to be getting back for that $10,000? Probably not as much as what you're putting into it. So, with that note, again, I would encourage you to remember that all cameras built in the last 10 years of mid range or higher probably will work for the majority of photographers. They all have enough resolution, they all have enough dynamic range, they all focus well enough. Take care, everyone. If you get some time, please look at some of my other venues. I do a podcast on psychiatric topics. It's called Psychiatric Secrets Revealed on iTunes and other places. I haven't added anything to it recently, but there's over 200 episodes that you might find useful. I also do a weekly blog, which just talks about the inner secrets of me and whatever. If you're interested in my inner secrets, you can find that at drmikekuna.com, drmikekuna.com. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe, and that makes me want to do more videos, and hit the like button if you like this. If you don't, you can give me a thumbs down too. I'm a big boy. But if you write something rude or stupid, I'm going to delete it because, this is a channel for intelligent, thoughtful people. Bye, everyone.